Hello everybody, and welcome back to, I believe, my third installation of my parkour logs. So I believe in my last one, I stated I was going to get one out every month. I am quite possibly the world's best liar, because that's never going to happen. Despite being incredibly lazy when it comes to making footage and video and the editing process, which I actually haphazardly go through. I think most of my videos take maybe an hour max to make, except for my California one. I took time with that. So it's just in general a large hassle for me. And, you know, I shouldn't say I don't care, because I actually do kind of care. But, they're time consuming. And, I honestly just don't want to use that time to make the footage half the time. So for today's edition, I'm going to do the benefits of training by yourself, with your training partner, and in large groups and jams. So let's see how that one goes, eh? So since I'm by myself right now, I'll start off with solo training. And also, I'm not used to doing this in the middle of the day with like people around. So if I seem like 6 levels of hella sketchy or weird, it's because of that. So, I'm also going to avoid probably most people and train in places I haven't trained for a while that tend to avoid people while I acquire the info. Actually, I'll go over here. So the first one for solo training, I actually like training by myself quite a bit. I started out that way. How I think it's very funny, I feel like one of the most interesting ways I've ever heard, also being biased towards myself, how I started it, is my friend handed me a piece of paper on how to be a ninja specifically. And in there, he said, learn parkour, help you how to climb walls. And so at the time, I thought it was just literally like a wall climbing method. Like, it was just a different way to climb walls, and I knew nothing about it. I was, you know, this 210 chubby fat kid, couldn't do a push-up, knew nothing about it, and anybody I did know I couldn't keep up with. So I had to more or less train all by myself. And I think you learn the most about yourself when you're training by yourself. That is really when you see everyone. You're also going to see me warm up for once. Most time I'm warmed up during this. You're going to see me warm up for this and other nonsense that needs to happen. You learn the most about yourself, in my opinion, during that time. When there's nobody pushing you, because I can't say for sure. You have to know this is all my own personal opinion. I've been training for 7 years. I'm really no expert in anything, but it's, you know, whenever I train by myself, I tend to train the hardest than when there's someone pushing me, or when there's someone pushing me, I tend to train the hardest because I have to prove to myself, I'd say, and so I just don't let myself give up, and it's just not something I'm particularly fond of doing. You know, I push myself the hardest, and I've broken jumps before by myself, and I think those are actually, like, for mental wise, the biggest jumps I break mentally by myself. I've never really broken mental jumps with other people. But I train with my friend Plaster quite a bit. Oh, hip. And we've been training. I met him 3 years ago in a theater class up on my college. My first semester of college, actually. And we've been training for 3 years now. And with him, I think not the most progression gets made, but the most movement. I can't say movement happens. well, yeah, the most movement, I guess you can say almost, well, no, because Dram's bigger. I think the most, not the most, yeah, the most fun happens. No, okay, I shouldn't say that. Let me get there. When training with him, he sees the most of me. Because he sees the jumps that I've mentally broken. And that man, is staring at them. Oh, so I'm right in front of a movie theater. People are like randomly stopping and look at movies. He's seen me, petrified out of my mind about a jump. Like, he's seen me sit down and stare this jump down for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And, that person, if you have your own training buddy, will most likely see the most progression out of you than anybody else. I mean, you can, like, I have a friend, Kage. I'll mention Kage. Kage watches these. I love Kage. He's super cool. And he has the weirdest movements. He's done things that I don't even know how or why he thought of them. But they're super weird. Also, so you can see me doing things. Super weird. Like, completely nonsensical. I challenge him from time to time. And he's seen me break jumps. But he's seen me stare at an object, but he's never seen that progression. Like, 3 years ago, I never would have thought of doing precision jumps. Precision jumps were the scariest things in the world for me. I'd been doing parkour for 3 years, never trained precision jumps. Woo. But he's seen that progression. He's seen me go from, maybe a jump this big, that's a step. I might not have practiced that 3 years ago on something so simple as and sticking it. He's seen me progress from that to now I want to hit this gap. I'm close, 6 levels of close, can't quite hit it, but I'm relatively close to it, I think. Let's see, I haven't only somewhat warmed up today, so let's see if I can do this. Not close right now, but I'm getting there. I'm ever so slowly working on it. And they're petrifying, they're still scary to me, but I've been doing those, and so he as a person has seen me progress, and he knows how to help me break jumps. He knows he knows when I need the motivation, and when I just need the silence to think, and mentally break the jump before physically breaking it, which I think only their training partner, your most training active partner, will know. Because I have another friend, Connor, who, there's a jump I want to break, and he, I need the silence, and he just keeps talking. And it's like it's not that I don't appreciate it. Like, I know he's only doing good, but there's times when I just really want him to not be speaking, and would much rather prefer that he be silent. Oh, they're totally turning in here, and I apologize. Only your training partner will know this. So, I forget what I was talking about, but I'm just going to pick right back up. So, the man I just showed you, he stopped by for a second and asked what I was doing. I'm going to remain in groups for partners for a second. He decided to stop and ask what I was doing. Large group of people. He decided to stop by and ask what I was doing, and I invited him to just do this really simple stride. And I led him to the warm-ups. Whew, that's much harder, after 45 minutes of doing it constantly. Just led him to the warm-ups, and we did that for the past little bit. And super cool. Like, he was kind of awkward with his movements, but he'd never done it before. But he was just right into it. And I think there's a certain amount of fun that comes from training with just one other person. Never done that before. And there's a level of watching them do something, or doing it with them, knowing that everyone's gaining the same thing. Everyone I shouldn't say everyone, that you and them, you know, there's a connection level with your movements. And it's something you don't get very often, I think, in today's world, is that connection with somebody of, you know, you go to work and, you know, you probably hate work. You might like your coworkers, but everyone hates work. No one enjoys what they're doing. You know, you go home, you want to sit or rest or whatever and do whatever it is that you do. But I think everyone enjoys moving. And you know, you just get a level of connection with them. But now we're gonna hop back over to jams. What I enjoy about jams, or even small groups of people that just come from like out of town, out of state. You go to another city with people that train there all the time. Like, I've had people come down to my city only a couple of times, and actually this location is very prominent. Because what I'm showing you is all we had for the longest time. There's this precision jump, you know, we thought of the stride, and, you know, we were able to add things onto it. However, we had a guy come. I can't do it, unfortunately, but it involved this tree. This tree is breaking. You can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. But he stood at this curb. He stood on the curb, jumped to the tree, swung around, landed, and then did the stride. And myself and Plaster never would have seen that. We never would have thought to use this tree that's now breaking. I apologize, tree. Kiss your obstacles, because they're your friends. Never would have seen that. Like, we never would have thought to do such a thing. And so I think with jams, you get to see the most amount of movement, and you can incorporate everyone's movement with your own. I don't like bashing on people, but what I think, there's a downside to jams though, and that's, you know, sometimes there's always that big name person in your group. Most of the time, there's that big name person in your group that everyone looks up to and, you know, wants to be as good as, you know, and I don't think there's such a thing as being as good as somebody else. I honestly think everybody is as good as everybody else. You know, someone may have the bigger jump, the longer stride. Doesn't mean they're simply better than you. It just means they've most likely had more training, the more confident. They're not necessarily better. There's no question with their body. So I'll use the explanation between Plaster and I. Plaster has insane jumps. His jumps are crazy insane. I don't understand how he does them. And he has a certain type of fearlessness. He's not fearless. He's courageous. Super courageous, and believes in his body 100%. He does not trust his body to fail him. He actually thinks the obstacle is going to fail him more than his own body would. Like, that's how I see him when I see him training. He has 100% commitment with his body, and if he opts out, it's more of a mental thing than a physical thing. Okay, so I believe I was talking about that being that one person, and I was talking about my friend Plaster. Is for some reason people think Plaster is like a god among men, and like I was just saying a second ago with the group, it's like I've been training with him for 3 years. I know his level. I know how he thinks when he trains, and it's like he's good. Like he has complete and utter control of his body, and he knows his own limits. So he knows when he can and cannot do something, which is I think very few people actually know that. I believe many people think it's pure physical, mostly physical, and less belief in themselves. Okay, this is my backhand turn vault. So let's see how this goes. And so, in my opinion, with the jams, is that there's a big name there. Most people are going to want to aren't going to do anything because they're intimidated by seeing these big name people do things that they will think they never can do, which is pretty silly. But it's the truest thing in the world because, you know, I used to be like that. I used to see these really good people and go, oh, I can't do anything yet, I better not train. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. That's the best time to train because hopefully they'll see you and correct you. So these people that you consider good, they'll see you and hopefully they'll correct you. I mean, everyone who does parkour, I've only met a couple of like real jerks in the parkour community that you know, wouldn't give you the time of day. And you know, I've probably met, well, I can't say I met a whole bunch. Oh yeah, I guess I can. Okay, no I can't. 50 some odd people, you know, even amongst the trickers, you know, a lot of them will give you advice about what you're doing wrong. I want to do something here about what you're doing wrong and will help you. But well, the reason why I specifically like bigger jams is because other people move differently. I believe I said that already. So they're going to see things you won't. And so you get to see your environment in a new way that you normally wouldn't have. Camera's in the way. That you normally wouldn't have seen had you not trained with them before. And that was interesting. And so you know, that's, where was I? I lose my train of thought while doing stuff. So you're going to see things that you've never seen. It's actually, I was to get my footage from Max, but you know, I don't watch a lot of parkour videos for that sole reason. I see people, obviously parkour videos I know are taking, you know, the extreme jumps, but it's like I see those and I go, I can't do that, I'm insignificant. And that's something I actually fight with quite a bit, because like I said earlier in the video, I used to be, you know, 210, couldn't do a push-up. Now I can do a decent amount. I think I'm up to like 30 in a set. Not much. You know, for 7 years, not very much. But I'm constantly fighting with my own laziness of that time. You know, so to kind of clarify the 3 points for the end is, you know, solo training. It's just you and that's it. You know, there's nothing pushing you except for yourself. It's just you and the obstacle. You're not going to do the jump if you know, can't convince your own self to do the jump. If you're with a partner, you know, you have your partner to now persuade you a little bit more. I mean, there are multitude of jumps, like I said, with precision jumps, like Plaster. Never would have done precision jumps had it not been for Plaster. He motivates me to do precision jumps. He's the reason why I don't go out and train specifically precision jumps to be some god of precision jumps, but it's, you know, I'll look at them, I'll notice them, and I'll contemplate them. And I've been getting ballsier with them. Like I'll look at them and I now know that I can do so far, and I've been learning how to fall out of them better than when I first started. It's like I was so focused about hitting my feet. Now it's like I hit my feet and it's like, WTF, mate. But like I kind of managed to learn how to roll out of them better so I don't injure myself as bad, you know, as you normally would. You know, falling takes practice. You have to fall to know how to fall. And then with jams, everybody moves differently. And so you'll see things that not everyone else will see. Or they'll see something that you won't see. Like I actually, the last jam I went to, I probably sat back for 25% of it watching people do movements that I wouldn't have thought of. You know, I wouldn't have thought to string these two movements together in such a way for, you know, years maybe. Maybe I would have seen it the next time I went there, I don't know. But I hadn't seen it yet. So it was a new form of movement that I hadn't yet seen. You know, I'm going to do rolls because I can do rolls while talking now thanks to all my Aikido training. And, but it's interesting, you know, and everyone has their own preference. I know people who prefer solo training. It is and is not my preferred method. I prefer to either solo, you know, like for maybe the end of most of my trainings, but I enjoy mostly with just a partner, and that partner being Plastic, because he's my friend, you know, so I'm going to train with him a lot more than I probably will by myself. But I enjoy training by myself quite a bit also, because, you know, I had to do it for the first year or two of my training session, because it took a while for me to learn. Ooh, getting on my knee like that is like super bad for me. But that'll be this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it's not too long. And I'll see you with the next one. I also forgot to mention one bad side effect of solo training is the same thing about pushing yourself, is it's really difficult to keep going after a while, and you're probably going to want to stop at like half an hour. I do it all the time. It sucks, but it's something you have to just fight through. Okay, that's the end of this. Goodbye. Have a good night.